So I'm hoping you guys thought about some of these practice problems a little bit before I did them, and kind of put some of your work informative so I could kind of help you out or at least see your thinking on these. So the first thing is a measure of DFG. And so I actually would not, in this case, I would actually not go through and find the angles in the order that it's giving to you. I would actually go and find the angles and then, answer the questions. So for this particular problem, you're only given one thing. You're given that this angle right here, there we go. This angle right here is 28 degrees, but you're also given that these triangles are isosceles. So since these two sides are congruent, well, you know that converse of base angle or base angles theorem, if two sides of a triangle are congruent, the opposite angles are congruent, doesn't really matter. And so this would also have to be 28 degrees. You could find the measure of angle DGF, this angle right here, because you know that the sum of the interior angles is 180, so you know that 28 plus 28 plus the measure of angle DGF is equal to 180 degrees, and you could solve it that way. So that's going to be 180 minus 56, which is 124 degrees. Things from the last unit, because we kind of continue to build, which this is something that we definitely do with this class. So this angle right here has to be 180 minus 124 because they're a linear pair, which happens to be 56 degrees, which also happens to be 28 plus 28 because 56 degrees is the exterior angle to this. Because these two sides are the same, this angle right here also has to be 56 degrees because of base angles theorem. And last, but certainly not least, this angle right here, well, how do I find this guy? Well, it's kind of the same thing. The three angles in a triangle add to 180, so it's just going to be 180 minus 56 minus 56. So it's going to be 180 minus 112, which is 68 degrees. And then I go through DFG. So DFG would be this angle right here. And get my sparkle pen. So DFG would be that angle right there. Well, we knew that that was 28 degrees. DGF, this angle right here, which would be the vertex angle, is 100 and 124 degrees. FGH, which would be this one right here, was 56 degrees. And GFH was 68 degrees. There are other ways to do this. That's just the way that I thought about it. Next problem. It says PQR is isosceles with a vertex P. So I'm going to put my P here because that's where I like my vertex. So PQR, it doesn't matter. If P is your vertex, then these have to be your congruent sides, okay? Because the vertex angle is the angle created by the congruent sides. The measure of angle P is 2x. The measure of angle Q is 6x plus 6. Now, I'm looking at this and I cannot figure out, okay, well, I know there are three angles in a triangle add to 180, but I only have two angles. And so I'm missing this angle right here, angle R. But I also have another piece of information. I know because of base angles theorem, I know if two sides of a triangle are congruent, the opposite angles are congruent. So if this angle is 6x plus 6, then this angle right here also has to be 6x plus 6. Knowing that, I have enough information to write and solve an equation. So I know 2x plus 6x plus 6 plus 6x plus 6 is equal to 180 degrees. So 2x, 6x, and 6x, that's going to be 14x. Again, you just combine your like terms. You just add and subtract like normal if they're on the same side. Plus 12 is 180. I subtract 12, 14x is equal to 168. Divide by 14. X is equal to 12. Knowing that x is 12, let's see, let's do pink. So this is going to be 2 times 12, which is 24 degrees. This is going to be 6 times 12 plus 6, which is 72, plus 6, which is 78 degrees. And the same thing for this one over here was also 78 degrees. And those are your 3 angles. Okay, so we're going to go to something a little bit trickier. So now we're talking about exterior angles theorem. Okay, so exterior angles theorem says that the sum of the remote interior angles, remote means far away, so your remote control, it's called remote control because you control it from farther away. These are called remote angles because they are farther away from what's called our exterior angle. This is the exterior angle, it's on the outside. And so by exterior angles theorem, I know that 60 plus 80 is equal to the measure of angle 1. So the measure of angle 1 is equal to 140 degrees. And I know that there are other ways. You could subtract from 180 and find this angle here. I know that that's a possibility, but that's not always the best way. And this one right here, this is just one move. You don't have to subtract all of that stuff, so it's actually pretty good. So this one right here, let's see what we're given. We have an exterior angle. As soon as you're given an exterior angle, you look at the angles that aren't next to it in that same triangle. So we have the x and the 55. I know by exterior angles theorem that x plus 55 is equal to 78. I subtract 55. X is equal to 23. Okay. All right. And this one, I know that you could have found this angle right here by subtracting from 180 and then did the 3 angles in a triangle. And that's fine and dandy. If you want to do it that way, that's great. Okay, I encourage you to do it that way. But you end up with another problem like this. So again, we have our exterior angle and we have our remote interior angles. This one can't be solved because we don't know what this angle is, and we know nothing about this angle. All we know is that one is 44 degrees. So I know sum of the remote interior angles, okay, these are the ones that are on the inside, is equal to the exterior angle. And remember, these angles can't be right next to it. It doesn't work that way. Okay, so this is going to be 7x plus 53 is equal to 13x plus 11 minus 7x. 53 is equal to 6x plus 11. 42 is equal to 6x divided by 6. X is equal to 7. So there's that one. All right, and in our final example, this is one of those ones where I kind of go through and figure out all of the angles that I'm comfortable with finding first. So first thing I look at is I have an isosceles triangle. So if that one's 70 degrees, then this angle right here has to be 70 degrees. Knowing that, I know that the measure of angle 1 is going to be 180 minus 70 minus 70, which I believe is, is 140, is 40, or is 40 degrees. I wrote 140, so I'm sorry about that, guys. And I'll go away from the sparkly pen because I know it can be a little bit distracting. So this is going to be 40 degrees. All right. So from here, other things that I know that the 3 angles on a straight line add to be 180. So I know 70 plus 65 plus the measure of angle 2 is equal to 180. So, and I can subtract, so that's going to be 135. Oof. Sorry about that. Ooh, that's exotic. Okay. 135 plus the measure of angle 2 is equal to 180. Subtract 135, subtract 135. So the measure of angle 2 is equal to 45 degrees. So there's our 45 degrees. Now I also know, and I'm going to use this, I know that there's a different way to do this. I know the measure of angle 2 here, which is 45 plus 90, is equal to the measure of angle 3. So this is going to be 45 plus 90, which is 135 degrees. Okay. All right, on to the last few, and I'll zoom in a little bit. Maybe that'll help. So the measure of angle 4 here, well, there's a 107 degree angle next to it, so that's going to be 180 minus 107, which is 73 degrees, so 73 degrees. And I'll write all of this out, so that's the measure. And so I know that's 73 degrees. There are a couple things I can do. I can tell you that angle 6 has to be 30 degrees. I can tell you the two ways. So one of the ways I know is because the angle 6 plus my 43 is equal to the 73, because that's my exterior angle. And what number plus 43 is equal to 73? That's 30 degrees. I also know that the measure of angle 6 plus 107 plus 43 is equal to 180. And so the measure of angle 6 plus 150 is equal to 180. The measure of angle 6 is equal to 30 degrees. So we have 6 is 30. So I'm just going to write all of this out. I'll just do a little boring. So measure of angle 1 was 40 degrees. The measure of angle 2 was 45. The measure of angle 3 was the 45 plus 90, which is 135 degrees. Measure of angle 4 is 73 degrees. The measure of angle 5 is equal to 70 degrees. And the measure of angle 6, last but not least, was 30 degrees. And there you go. Those are the example problems. Hope you